This is the thing. Who you choose to hang around with, who you choose to have in your posse is exactly who you become. Choose your posse wisely. I'm here to tell you that putting yourself first is not selfish, it's revolutionary. Welcome to the Ayurvedic Woman podcast, empowering women to light their lives on fire through Ayurveda, yoga, spirituality, and fitness. I'm going to say this one last time. Stop apologizing. Women do this all the time. They apologize for everything. What are you feeling sorry about? Stop. If you do not put yourself first, nothing else happens. Stop putting everybody in front of you and put yourself first so that those people that you need to care for and take care of can be cared for because you have put yourself as the priority. Jai Bhagwan, Woman Warriors, and welcome to the Ayurvedic Woman podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Short-Waisted Satyavani, and my fabulous co-host,
Prajna Madhavi.
Oh boy. So, I'm literally sitting on 3 blankets today because I am that short-waisted. I'm not even going to sit cross-legged because I have to be tall. You see this? Like our heads are almost level. I'm on 3.
Almost.
She's on nothing.
A little bun.
I know. The bun gives it a couple of extra inches.
A little height.
All right. So today we are actually going to talk about mental toughness from a Vedic, Ayurvedic perspective. When we talk about the Vedas, we actually talk about the 3 major sciences that fall underneath the Vedic sciences, which is Ayurveda, Yoga, and Jyotish. And we are going to have the great Casey Scott on our show as a guest.
We need to.
Yep. Because we are coming upon eclipse season in October. And so a lot of shit goes sideways during that time. So it's fantastic to get his perspective.
Right before the holiday.
Exactly. So
Needs to go to shit.
Exactly. Really shitty. And then you get to spend time with people you don't want to spend time with. So depending, of course. So despite that, first let's start our show with a wellness check-in. So talk to me, girl. What's going on?
This week, pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, this weekend has been really nice. Got a lot of outdoor time.
I noticed
yesterday.
That. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you posted that in the circle.
I did.
For the 108, and I could see that you had been outside for a while because there's actually like some color, and you had the hat on and the whole thing. So
I was like, why is my nose so red? I was actually out front under the shade tree, so I had my hat on and all of that. So No, my peach tree is full, so I picked a whole bunch of peaches and cucumbers.
There are so many peaches on that tree.
And they're really starting to turn and soften, and they're going to be really good. And
I don't normally suggest this because I'm not like a big sugar person, but we might have to find a recipe for peach cobbler just for shits and giggles and maybe make it for, Halloween or Thanksgiving or something, because that just seems lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just putting that out there.
Yeah.
Peach cobbler.
So I had tomatoes, cucumbers, peaches. And so I just had, looking at all of this stuff, I'm like, I just have too much. So I took some to school last week. And I just decided I'm just going to, just like last year, I'm just going to put some stuff in boxes, and I just put them on my garbage can and just say free organic produce. And
I love that.
My neighbor right next door, she came out and she's like, is this the time?
Are we back here? Is it harvest time?
Are you giving out free produce? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, I already messaged everybody in the neighborhood.
Is she on Next Door Neighbor? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay. So she's like, hey.
Yep. She messaged everybody. So I had a few people come by and, just getting to know people in the community.
So
and
great.
Like I mentioned yesterday in Circle, that really that's what I would love to get back to is just community.
Yep.
And I had the thought of, do I ask for donations? But then I thought, just let the universe take over.
Sure.
And that was something that was focused on a lot yesterday too, was just allowing the universe to take over with any concerns that I had, just let go of those concerns and let the universe take it as it will. So,
well, when we established the Woman Warrior Produce label, then that's a different story.
Yeah, there we go.
So
Yeah.
we'll right now, like, share the abundance. And we need more of that.
Yes.
We need more of that in the world right now. We have to move away from all of this separatist stuff and invite people into our lives for us to exchange energy, because food is prana. It's Shakti, it's prana, and you're actually passing around excellent prana and Shakti. So thank you for that, sister.
And there was talk of, I have someone that I know that would be willing to give free labor for this. And so I was like, okay, this is where I'm finding, what other skills do people have? And a couple recipes for just freezing your peaches. You don't have to blanch them or anything like that. And so I chopped up peaches last night, put them in the freezer, and had some peaches with my oatmeal this morning. It was so good.
Was it divine?
Yeah, it was excellent.
I'm going to swing by your house and just start picking them from the tree. So I do drive-bys and I just steal her shit. I'm just like, I'm taking stuff.
Just a little rabbit. Lettuce gone. Peaches. And got in the gym late, Friday, Saturday, working on my PT for my knee.
Yep.
And
how's the knee doing?
It's with working and just standing and having it, my body not moving. I feel it.
Do you?
It's really
what does it feel like? Does it feel like frozen? Does it feel clicky? Like my knee gets clicky.
Gets clicky, it gets sore, and everything starts to tighten up, and then it just starts to feel unstable, and it's annoying.
Yeah.
So getting back in the gym and doing those PT exercises, and that's been helpful this weekend. So
the good news is, though, I haven't seen you wear the brace around it.
Well, I haven't been to Krav either.
Yeah, that's true. But that's okay. No pressure. Trying to get her to come back to Krav Maga. And so is our friend Holly Kerrigan, giving you a shout out.
Yeah.
I know. She asked me, actually, we went for a run this week, and she's like, so, what's the deal with Prajna and Krav? I'm like, I'm easing in. I'm just dropping little breadcrumbs there. And it's because we authentically love you and love having you there. And of course, if you don't feel safe or stable with it, obviously we don't want that to happen. But it's just we missed that, dude, we're like a triad at Krav, and so it's cool.
Yep.
It's cool. But all good.
Yeah. I'm working on all the things.
All the things.
Try and make myself go back there.
Now, if you're making yourself go back, that's a separate issue. Don't want you to do that.
I want to feel like we've had this conversation where a lot of it is, yes, there are certain things that I don't have to do at Krav.
You don't.
And this maybe even fits into our mental toughness today. If I know I can do it, and it's just like a little pain in my knee, then I feel like I should do it.
Right.
So there's that balance between, I can do it, but it's going to feel terrible.
Well, you bring up a good point, and I think there is also a misnomer about mental toughness, because, we see a lot of that talked about out there in the world. And, you see the David Goggins of the world, and, and the Jockos of the world, and all of that. And and I get that, and I do understand the message, but I also think that part of mental toughness is also saying, this isn't ready right now. And it doesn't mean that you're not doing. It just means that, I need to be careful right now. I need to fortify my knee, et cetera. And my mental toughness is going towards that versus an extreme that can ultimately damage. And even in reading Goggins' second book, you can see the tone switch.
Yeah.
It went from do it all out, no matter what. And me, I'm all about that. I'm just dude, get to, because I actually think, a lot of what's wrong with society is people don't have this mental toughness as mental fortification. But at the same time, I also see the argument that if you're pushing yourself towards injury.
Hey, you see his body breaking down.
Exactly.
And it's pretty obvious.
Right.
You need to slow down.
Right. And part of mental toughness is getting over the ego.
Yeah.
Getting over the ego that says, no, keep going. Because from a Vedic perspective, the role of the ego is to protect you. So if we look at it from that perspective, then, there is mental toughness embedded in that whole idea of hey, you know what? Like, you got to get past thinking that this is the way and the only way, but rather saying, you know what, I need to take a detour right now because I have to fortify my knee or rest this injury. It was like the same thing with my shoulder for, the first 2.5 years of training in Krav. It was like, oh God. But there were times when it was like in class and like, if we're doing, some sort of pairing, et cetera, it's like, guys, like this is off limits right now. And that's just being not only mentally tough, it's just being freaking smart. Like, so yeah. So more to that.
Yeah. How about you?
So great week. The cleansing has begun, which is wonderful. First of all, the weather has been incredible. This is my absolute favorite time of year. I love the spring, don't get me wrong. And this past spring, which came very late in Boise, and then, we took off for India for most of the summer here. This past spring, I was like, oh, thank God, because the winter was brutal. It was just long and horrible and very, very vata aggravating for myself, for a lot of people, for you.
Yeah.
But fall, there's just nothing like it.
Nothing like it.
Like the crispness and like, I do miss the sun coming up extra early. It's still coming up before 7, so I'm good with that. But Holly and I went for a run the other day where we did a trial run for the 10K that we're going to do in October. And so we did kind of I wouldn't say it was a drill, so to speak, but we did run a minute, off a minute, run 2 minutes, off a minute, run 3 minutes, walk a minute. And we did that up to 5 minutes and then came back down. So we kind of did this ladder, which proved to be a really good strategy.
That's actually how similar to how I did my marathon.
Okay,
the
great.
Marathon I ran.
And that's great. Yeah, which is fantastic. Yeah. I actually had you in the back of my mind when I came up with that because I said to Holly, look, we're going to be running on concrete, and she was all about it, which is great. She's a fantastic running partner, which is great because it actually went by a lot faster. Like when you run with a buddy, like running just sucks. And I'm just going to say that I do not like it. It's horrible. But I do it because it's horrible and I don't want to do it. So the mental toughness piece of it. But I've actually grown to enjoy it if I run with a buddy, which is really nice because we did the 6.2 in an hour and 16 minutes. So it was like 12-minute miles and change, but remembering that, every couple of minutes we walked for a minute. So I think we're probably at the, if you kind of pare it back or you did the calculation, I'd say that we're probably at 11-minute miles.
Nice.
Which is like, I'm good with that. Like, I have no interest in becoming a marathon runner. Like, this is just for me, to be able to do it. The good news is that I feel so much stronger in my legs, like between all of the leg work I'm doing in the gym, all of the leg work that I'm doing in Krav with kicks and everything like that, because I'm training up for level 3 testing in October. I felt so much more stable. I didn't feel like I could pull a hamstring at any moment. I didn't feel like, oh, my knee is unstable, et cetera. So that was really amazing. The other part is I love the transition in food at this time of year. So as we get ready to move into the fall full blown, which will be when's the fall equinox? Is it 20 or 21?
I think it's 21.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So literally within the next 10 to 11 days, that is just a wonderful transition. I love the warmer foods. I love, the idea of getting more pre-digested food so that our digestive fire, our Agni, is in good stead. And I feel like, you and I have done so much work the past, 3 seasons, so that going into fall and then eventually winter is going to be a lot better than it has in the past. So, yeah. So it's been a good week. Yeah. It's been a really good week. The weather has just changed my attitude, and that's been really good. So, yeah.
No, fall, the colors and just the cool mornings and the warmer afternoons.
Yeah.
Thinking about putting my garden to bed, it can be a little intimidating, but, just...
When will you start that?
I'm probably going to put some compost on end of September, beginning of October. Sure. But there's still some things that can still be growing, even in October. So I probably won't fully put it to bed till towards the end of October. I mean, the sprinklers have to come off eventually.
Right. Towards like Halloween.
Yeah. So then your garden's pretty much like, well, we're not getting water anymore. So
We ain't doing shit for you.
unless it starts raining, snowing, which usually doesn't happen quite yet.
No.
So yeah, I'm just thinking about all of that. Even though I don't have a huge garden, there's
Oh no, it's pretty damn big.
there is a lot going on.
There's a lot there.
And my little organizational mind, I like to have everything organized and
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
so. And I want to be able to hit the ground running in the spring. But
It's awesome.
yeah,
It's awesome. There's something I was going to ask you about the garden part of it. It left my head.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll circle around. So,
okay. So mental toughness.
mental toughness. Okay. So, I would like to know, when you think about mental toughness, what comes to mind? And I'm curious also, listeners out there, like, chime in the comments on our YouTube channel, as well as if you follow Spotify, we have a question out there that you can respond to, etc. Like, what you define as mental toughness. I think it's pretty darn cool. So go ahead.
So just as you were talking, actually, and now I can kind of fit it with what we learn about the stages in our life about mental toughness. When I think about my younger years, mental toughness was a lot different than probably what I see now.
Yep.
Because I'm in a different stage in my life. So when you think about when you're younger and you have all of this speed, energy, like I have all of this energy that's just built up that needs to be used. Mental toughness, like during my athletic days and all of that, was like, push through the pain, like
grind it
be
out.
Mentally tough, grind it out. Well, yeah, it's because your body usually feels pretty decent most of the time.
20-something-year-old body is a lot different than a 40-something-year-old body.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And,
it's like that video you sent me yesterday.
Yes.
I love that video. 20-something, yeah, I'm down to ride. I'll burn my fucking house down to go out.
Right.
30-something's like, okay, where exactly are we going? And then
I'm
40-something.
going to drive myself.
Exactly. And then 40-something is like, dude, I'm not going. And I'm actually pissed at you that you thought I would want to go. That was
Who's that? Bagazzi? I forget his name now.
I forgot.
He's one of my favorites.
Oh my God, he's hilarious. I'm sorry,
funny.
but you know what? I'm going to post that video on my Instagram page, and you do the same. And
Okay.
like, for all the ladies, all the woman warriors out there who have gone from 20s to 30s to 40s, you got to watch it
Yeah.
because it is fucking hilarious.
It's so good.
Yeah,
So
and spot
good.
on. I'm sorry. So continue.
No, that's perfect because really that kind of ties in because Trina's like, yeah, got it. I'm going to do it. Like, let's push through. Like, I'm hurting, but I'm all right. I'm just going to keep going. And then, you know, as you get older and a little bit more mature and you've
Wisdom sets in.
emotional maturity and all of that. Well, and you're also dealing with different things in life. So like whether it's kids or whether it's
Career.
an ailing spouse or career, like that mental toughness starts to shift to where, okay, now this is maybe more emotionally difficult, and I need to find maybe a balance between the two, and, you know, mentally tough in that way where you're kind of balancing in between. And then I think as you get older, it's, you know, conserving. And like you said, like with my knee, like I need to still have the mental toughness to show up at the gym and do my exercises.
Yep.
Like that's a part of, I think, consistency and discipline
Totally.
come in with mental toughness.
1000%.
It's just what you're mentally tough about, I think, starts to maybe shift and change.
Yep.
And still having all of those components. But it does change over the years.
I actually think, you know, you touch on a great point, that I also feel like mental toughness is wisdom. I think that there are a lot of young folks out there that think that mental toughness is that just grind it out at all costs, et cetera. And like, believe me, like when it comes to like life and stuff like that, I'm like, you play to win. Like you know, and I don't mean that like in order for me to win, you have to lose. It's just like, I'm playing to win in my life. And really trying to set goals, achieve those goals, and do them in a way where it's not like, oh my God, I'm so excited on Monday. And then by the time Friday comes, it's like, whatever, no big deal. And you speak to consistency and discipline and all of that. And I think that's super important because those play into mental toughness. I don't think that mental toughness is really a switch that you can just turn on. I think that there are qualities, attributes, and habits that you have to have in order to establish mental toughness. Discipline and consistency are one of them. We get more mentally strong as we do the practices, etc. And like right now, we're in the middle of the Ayurveda 108. And it's like, okay, who's showing up? Who's doing the practices? Are you doing the practices every single day? Because the reality is it's a task that's done every single day, no matter what. And just getting over like these 8 small, simple practices that we have all of these women in the group doing, getting past like, I don't really have to do that today, et cetera, that right there is a huge mental toughness leap. Now, from an Ayurvedic perspective, if we were to look at this in the respect of the doshas, okay, so we have Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And I think that, I know that each of those doshas have a different perspective on mental toughness and a different job for each. And what that also brings into play is by each of those doshas having a different perspective and a different role and play in mental toughness, it brings balance.
Yeah.
So like with Vata, okay, Vata made up of air and ether. And in many ways, the Vata mind of like, I'm going to do it no matter what, et cetera, and obsessing, and there's nothing wrong with being focused on something, but being focused and turning something into an obsession. And I know there's a lot of talk about like, you got to be obsessed with something. And I agree with that, but I actually think of it more as focused on something, not necessarily obsessed in an instability kind of way. So like Vata, air, and ether can, in a balanced fashion, can be super creative. I'm very creative about this task that I want to accomplish. And so all of my mental energy is going into cultivating that creativity. Mm-hmm. From an imbalanced perspective, it's like, holy shit, oh my God, my mind is moving all over the place and I have to do this, that, and the other thing, and the to-do list isn't getting done, and like, but I should be obsessed and blah, blah, blah. And like, it becomes like, and it can very easily turn into anxiety and just take you mentally off the rails. You're laughing.
Paralysis.
Yeah, analysis paralysis. You're laughing.
No, that's just it.
No.
I've been there.
Yeah. We all have. Mm-hmm. We all have. So, but if we have the energy of that, quote, analysis paralysis balanced with the creativity, then we can create a very clear mind that is mentally tough within that Vata realm. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I was just thinking about, we talked about the wheel of momentum, and we talked similar concepts of you got to have all three for the balance.
Yes.
So, and the Vata is what keeps things moving.
Keeps the wheel moving.
Creativity.
Absolutely. Keeps that wheel moving so you don't become inert. Because mental toughness is also about getting out of inertia. From a Pitta perspective, when we look at mental toughness from a Pitta perspective, we have the elements of fire and water. And that really is about not only what lights you up, but what you're passionate about, what's driving the force. Now, in an imbalanced state, that can turn into obsession, control, and also arrogance and
anger or irritation. When it's not getting done.
Exactly. Anger and irritation. You nailed it. Exactly. From a balanced state, it is strength, fortitude, determination, and laser beam focus, and not in a way that's like, well, I'm focused on this and I'm pushing everything out of the way, but rather like, this is my focus. There's leadership that's involved in that. So when we look at those two, everything on the imbalance side, from the anger, frustration, et cetera, to the leadership, determination, focus, courage, side of life. We put those two things together. We have a great balance as it relates to mental toughness, because you do have to have courage, and at the same time, you also have to be passionate about something. Now, you don't have to be a dick, but but bringing those two things together contributes to our mental toughness, to moving things forward. The beauty of Pitta and Vata coming together, and then we'll add Kapha to this in a minute. The beauty of those two things coming together is that Pitta is that fire of determination, and Vata with the wind can light that determination on fire and push it forward, which is really kind of cool. So it goes from just sitting there as a flame or a candle in the wind, so to speak, to the wind comes and is like, okay, let's push this forward.
Yeah.
From a Kapha perspective, earth and water, mental toughness on the imbalance side can turn into not mental toughness. It can turn into ignorance, sluggishness, even clinginess, where it's like, I'm clinging to my old ways and established in ignorance. I'm not open to the creativity that Vata brings in, or the determination and focus and courage that Pitta brings in. But on the balance side of Kapha, with that earth and water, it brings in loyalty, consistency, strength, and fortitude. So those two things coming together can bring the mental toughness. So if we have the fire of determination of Pitta, Vata moving it forward, the consistency piece of Kapha keeps that thing moving. And that's where the whole idea of discipline and consistency comes into effect. So I don't know, I think it's pretty cool. I love looking at things like this from an Ayurvedic perspective.
Yeah. You look at, through athletics, because that tends to be a window that a lot of people just see.
I love that.
Mental toughness.
Like these physical feats.
Yeah. I mean, you just think about the greats. Like, they all had that. That was the main things that they had. They failed. I was just watching a thing on Instagram about Michael Jordan. He was giving all of his stats of all the things.
Yep.
Like, I took 26 shots at the end of the game and I missed all of them.
Yep.
Like, talking about all the things that he did wrong. And then at the end, he's like, and that's why I succeeded.
Right.
Because you had those failures and you had those things that didn't happen.
Yep.
Yet, you still had the consistency and the determination and all of that to keep going, even after you fail. And
you have to have that balance.
yeah. There's just not enough of that. And I think COVID.
Oof. There was a deep sigh after the word COVID.
And maybe it's
mentioned.
the different attributes of COVID, like being locked down.
Which shoved people into that Kapha.
I'm just going to be unmotivated. I'm not going to do anything.
And ignorant. Yep.
Nothing's going on outside my house, so I just better not do anything.
Right.
But watch Netflix or...
Right. COVID-19, we call it the COVID-19 pounds.
Yeah.
So, people put on 19 pounds. Again, not trying to be a dick, but, let's be honest.
And you had the people like myself. I was like, okay, I'm at home. I now have more time to do a yoga practice on my own.
Yep.
And so I was consistent with creating new things to do at home.
Yep.
And I still shopped at the store and still did the things that I was consistent with, because I was like, this too shall pass.
It will. Eventually it will. I love that phrase, you've survived 100% of your days. You're still alive, still surviving. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. COVID did a number. It definitely did a number. And what's interesting is that I've had a lot of conversations recently with women who are coming out of that now and realizing that, wow, my mental toughness that I had prior has shifted. It's been, quote, bruised. It needs to be strengthened again, et cetera. And, ladies and anybody who's out there who's listening to this, there's no shame in that. Okay. Let's just get back going again.
Yeah. Let's
just do it. You talked about how yoga practice became your thing during COVID. That's when I joined Krav, and so you look at that 3 years later and it's like, wow, I'm a completely different person. You're a completely different person, from those practices. But I think that mental toughness is something also that needs to be cultivated every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, shit's hard out there. Like, life, really fucking hard.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't mean it in that, like, oh, I don't want to adult. Like, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, shit is hard. And what are you doing about it? Like,
Yeah.
we have so much more power than we are led to believe, or that we have been told.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're weak. You don't have this. No,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
They dare even say that quote of adulting is hard. I'm like, being an adult has always been difficult.
Right.
Like, come on. Let's stop with that.
Right. And what's funny about that is that there is more lack of mental toughness and people kind of moving into that, oh, adulting is hard now than there was 20 years ago or 30 years ago. And 20 or 30 years ago, there were none of the conveniences that we have now.
Yeah.
So it's like, what the fuck are you bitching about? Like, you grew up on a farm.
I did.
Like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
And what my parents went through was very difficult. And they were amazing. I mean, it's a whole other topic, but when you're adulting,
Adulting, wide eyes.
just, you know, I am so thankful that they did what they did. And, you know, they did the best they could with what they had. And they did a really good job.
Yep.
And I don't blame them for anything that they had challenges with, because they were dealt with some shit. A shit hand on many levels. So
Absolutely.
I definitely look up to them in that aspect. So, yeah, the whole thing about being adult is difficult. It's like, it always has been.
Right.
It's the fact that we're now saying that it is just to feel better, make each other feel better. I don't know what we're doing.
I don't either. It's actually pulling us down. And yeah, I'm going to leave it at that because, you know, I think about...
It's creating that kappa, like...
Right.
Unmotivated. Like, if it's
Sluggish.
hard, then I'm just going to shut it out. And
I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. Like, this is where discipline and consistency comes in, because it's like, yeah, it's hard. Like, do you want to get up and go to the gym every single day? No. Do I want to go, like, if I really, really think about it, do I really want to go to Krav and get the shit kicked out of me 4 or 5 days a week? Unequivocally, no. But like, I mean, when I get there, it's awesome. But like,
yeah.
And maybe there's a little bit of a sadistic person inside of me, which I'm very open to believing. But nonetheless, like, if you think about that, it's just like, oh, you know. But it also has built this incredible mental fortitude of just like, I can do hard things, and all of us can. And women, all of the women warriors out there, or the aspiring women warriors out there, you can do fucking hard things. So get it out of your head that this is not within your purview, that like, oh, someday, or et cetera, et cetera. Lock and load.
Yeah.
Just friggin' do it. Not to steal from like Nike's tagline, but like, literally just do it.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Nope. And in doing that, in doing whatever it is you're doing, start creating that community.
Yes.
Start getting other women to do it. And
huge.
That makes it 10 times better.
Right. It's like running.
Yeah.
Much prefer to run with somebody than run alone.
Yeah.
Much prefer to lift with somebody than lift alone.
Because, I mean, if I had the option, once my knee is better, to go back to Krav, if Satyavani and Holly weren't there,
right,
I'm much less likely to do it.
It's all about the community. That's a huge part. And that's part of what we're trying to do here, not only with this podcast, but also with the Ayurveda 108, with the Woman Warrior Circle, et cetera. So get in on it. You want to check it out. With the book, you know, the YouTube channel, the whole thing is like, how do we get this out there and build this community? Because when we have community, we create a collective mental toughness.
Yeah.
And then we're really fucking unstoppable. And like, I'm all about that.
Yep.
Other thoughts?
Let's pull a card.
Let's pull a card. Today, we have the Mother Peace Tarot deck. Woohoo!
And it says, try to come up with a question that you have. Sometimes ask simple questions when you pick a card. So,
what kind of question do you want?
Maybe just as simple of, what is mental toughness?
Okay.
See what we come up
Let's see. We're going to ask that question. What is mental toughness? You heard the Vedic perspective. We're going to go here and pick it out. What is mental toughness? So you pick the card and I'll read it.
Take this little one that's hiding.
Ooh.
It does matter how I flip this over.
Yes,
correct?
it does. Yeah, it does. Okay. So that is the Nine of Cups. Okay, so I got to find cups here.
Yeah, I really like the oracle cards because it just gives you a story with the whole thing. This whole tarot reading is not in my wheelhouse. I've learned a little bit about it, but not nearly enough to be dangerous at all.
So this is, I guess this would be considered left, okay? Mm-hmm. So this, let's just read all of them because I think that's super helpful, depending on the angle. And actually, one of our woman warrior sisters, there we go, Nine of Cups. One of our woman warrior sisters would say that she doesn't even pay attention to, who does tarot readings, Ajna.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ajna.
Shout out to Ajna.
She's like, I don't even worry about up, down, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So Nine of Cups. Women have come. Okay.
Well, and we're done.
And we're finished now. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Exactly. Women have come to the sacred spring of the poppy goddess to get water as well as to dance and relax. She will get something she's wanted or wished for. Her desires are coming to fruition. She's actively seeking or manifesting some wish or desire. And there's also the side that says she's not trusting her desires, or she does not believe she will get what she's wished for. She may have doubts or lack self-worth. So that's actually pretty fascinating because I think that when I look at this of she'll get something that she wants, her desires are coming to fruition. She's actively seeking or manifesting some wish or desire. But then there is that doubt that comes in. And I think, and we can talk about this in the future, what I coin is the disease of doubt. The disease of doubt causes a fracture in mental toughness. And it's actually just something that is made up in our minds. She's going to get what you set the intention, you do the practices, you get what it is that you want. The disease of doubt comes in when we are lacking that confidence. And honestly, I think that lack of confidence comes because we have not put forth the practices, the discipline, the consistency. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I'm relating all of that to myself. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well,
just because, in our fire ceremony, I mean, that's what I threw into the fire that's what this is a reminder of, is getting rid of doubt that I have.
Yep.
Like I've just this whole thing, you constantly light a spark under my ass all the time of like,
Same.
What do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want? Manifest what you want.
You can have anything you want.
And actually really this whole talk of mental toughness, it's like, am I in that Vata headspace where I'm just pulling like, I don't know what I want. I don't blah, blah, blah. So I think I've been there for a long time. Mm-hmm. And
you're coming out though.
I'm starting to make my way out. And that was the main thing on the trip. Then doing the fire ceremony really kind of brought that out and that's why I had I had quite a response to the end of the fire ceremony because I was just thinking about that and like, who am I and all that stuff and like what, having that confidence, just do what you want to do, create the life that you want to have. And where is the doubt coming from?
Right.
Like, why do you think you can't do it?
Yep.
And that was huge for me.
I love it.
And yeah.
Just to touch upon that before we finish, because I think that we'll do a podcast on the disease of doubt, which, for the record, is the title of my next book, which is very exciting. Nice. But I think all of those doubts that we have actually don't really come from within. They come from the external. For as long as we have been born, from the second we came out of the chute, because mom and dad, that we chose, came together, they had their own doubts, etc. And it doesn't make like your parents bad people or anything like that. I mean, like it's cosmological. And at the same time, it was an external influence. And I think we also carry with us in our DNA intergenerational doubt that kind of comes along the lines. And so what you're actually doing right now, what all of us are actually doing right now, is starting to break that chain of generational doubt and saying, you know what, no more. Because like your track record proves that you're awesome and that you can achieve anything it is that you set your mind to. Literally. I mean, whether it is personal, professional, emotional, physical, I mean, you can. You can have the life it is you want. You just got to work for it. And I think that the doubt comes in when it's stuff from the outside. It's really not from within, because the soul, the Atman, wants you to succeed.
Yeah.
Knows that you can. So.
Two things popped into my head. One, the external of doubt, similar to what we talked about with the external of motivation.
Yes. Yes.
Get externally motivated, and yet we also get externally doubted or doubt put
Doubtful.
upon us. Doubtful.
Yep.
And then something that I remember listening to another podcast where Zach Bush was on the podcast, and he was talking about how as a child, when you reach about 2 or 3, you start to realize that that's when doubt starts to show up. Because
that's why they call it the terrible twos.
People start telling you, can't do that, don't do that, don't do that. And then, of course, why? Yeah. And it's almost that's where it starts to show up.
Spot on.
Yeah.
I will conclude with saying this one thing. So yesterday, Michael and I, we were at home. We actually had a day off, which is a very unusual thing.
I know I didn't hear anything from you. I'm just going to let
it was great. I took a nap. There is nothing better than a fall Saturday nap. No, girl, I was out for 2.5. And I take my naps very seriously. Like I know you can do like the 20-minute thing. Michael can do that too. Me, I take it seriously. I go down and I'm not getting up until I have to get up, but it was glorious. And I know that it was a really good nap because I woke up sore, which is great. So my body digested and it was fantastic. But anyway, prior to that, we were watching college football.
Yep.
And so Deion Sanders is the new head coach for Colorado. I fucking love this guy. I've seen
some of his Instagram posts, and he's like, I don't care if you don't like me.
That's exactly it. Yeah. And what I love about him is a couple of things. First, he's being Deion. He is
living his best life.
He's living his best fucking life. He's doing his thing, and he doesn't give a shit. That's number one. But the number two piece is that he has incredible amounts of confidence and does not suffer from the disease of doubt, has super mental toughness, and his confidence comes from the fact of whether or not I win or lose, there's intention, and to him it's still a success, and I don't know, there's just something about, and I think also what he's doing in the world of college sports right now is he has started to light a fire of getting people back to this idea of mental toughness, community, we're all in this together, et cetera. And there is starting to be a cultural shift, where we see it with a lot of the podcasters and people out there who are looking at the country and saying, no, we can't do this anymore. Whether it's, Andy Frisella or what's the gentleman? Rich Roll, and who's the other famous podcaster? Leaving my head right now. He had RFK on his podcast. Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Those guys, they're looking. Sorry, Joe.
How did you forget?
I have no idea. But those guys are looking at the country and they're saying, no, we have to do a shift, et cetera. And they're putting that energy out there. Deion Sanders is doing that in the world of college sports.
And those podcasters never stopped doing what they were doing.
No.
That's the whole thing.
No.
They didn't stop with COVID.
Nope.
They're just like,
we're going to keep going. We're going to keep doing it. And what I love about it is that, I really think I woke up this morning thinking, there really is a movement now. There is a movement of people who are saying, no, enough is enough. We're not going to to succumb to like the next set of fucking mandates, of which, by the way, do not comply. We're not going to succumb to all of this propaganda bullshit. So, like, we've seen the wizard behind the curtain.
Yeah.
We know what's going on. And like Dion's swagger and like everything that I fucking love him. I just absolutely love him. I love his interviews. He's just like me or don't like me, I'm doing this. And beat TCU and then last night Nebraska. Like, so far he's 2-0.
Yeah.
And it's like there is a mental toughness where he's very much connected to God. Like, he has a spiritual connection. He talks about it all the time. So like, it's in line with everything it is that we're talking about. So Deion Sanders, I give you a shout out.
Impressive.
Woo-hoo. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Well, my fellow woman warriors and all listeners out there, a couple things. I am going to be in San Diego at the end of September doing a book tour at 2 different Athleta locations, one at Athleta in Encinitas and the other in Fashion Valley. So please do come to the event if you are so inclined. The information is on my website, thewomanwarrioracademy.com. You can look underneath the book and you'll see what all of the dates are, etc. There is, though, before I go to California at the end of the month, there is an event at the Barnes & Noble here in Boise on the 23rd of September from 12 to 2. So I would love to see you there too. It'll be a book signing. I've got some information to hand out, give you a little taste of what From Pain to Power is about. And they have to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Hit subscribe on the YouTube channel, share it with everybody, and keep listening to the show. We love having you.
Yep. We love doing these.
These are so great.
And if they're helpful, we want to know. So
please do. Let us know. I think that's it. All right, everybody. Jai Bhagwan. And as always, may your soul be victorious.
Is life hard? Yeah, it's really fucking hard. And you can also have the life it is that you want. You just got to work for it.